Right, I'm going to make a drink and then we need to figure out where we're going to sit today. I guess I'll go first.
Why are you doing this then? What's the
we're going that quick.
Yeah.
You're not going to warm me up? Okay, this might take a few takes. Normally when I do stuff like this, it takes a few takes. I'm Sydney May Crouch. I'm a social media content creator. My platforms are Instagram, YouTube, bit of everything really. This is really different for me, but it's something that I've wanted to do for a really, really long time. I think people know a lot about me. I'm quite an open book, but I've never delved deep right into my past before. So when I was 9 years old, my mum actually passed away from a 20 to 25 year long battle with a drug addiction. And for years I've wanted to tell her story because I think it's so easy to hear that someone's battled with a drug addiction and just be so quick to judge and not know how the family of the person that's lost their life is now dealing with everything and what they went through. I know as soon as people hear what I've been through, whether it's friends, family, they're shocked by what me and my family have been through, and they all say that they will carry that with them for the rest of their life and that will impact the decisions they make.
You ready to take this all the way back to the beginning?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hit the public like a bolt from the blue.
So I can show everyone what a lively family I've got.
Oh, this is a close-up of Nikki.
So I suppose, although Nikki is my niece, I'd say she's more like my sister.
So me and Nikki met when I was about 7. She was about 5. We both had a passion for horses, like in an incredible way. And as small and as young as we were, and it's very different back then, you know, a 7 and a 5-year-old could go out for the day. And we'd get on the bus and we'd go and find horses in a field. And that's what we'd do. And we'd jump on the bus and we'd go up High Beach or anywhere like that, in a place near where we lived. And if we saw some horses in a field, we'd get off the bus and we'd go and stand by them and get in the field. And if there were smaller ones there, we would even like sort of lean on their back or something like that. And we did that quite a lot.
Well, she was always my bigger sister. She always looked out for me and took care for me. Come home from school and when Mum, Nan was at work, she'd prepare dinners for me, cook for me, look out for me all the time. Yeah, Nick was very caring, very loving, always made me laugh and always lit up a room and made other people laugh as well. Very amusing.
When I was 10, she'd just been born, hadn't she? So really, she was like my little sister, you know. And we grew up together. We was very close. We shared a bedroom. We argued all the time. She used to tip glasses of water over me because I snored.
I used to live in the pub, and on Sunday afternoon, it was the time when pubs shut, which they don't now, but pubs used to shut on a Sunday. They used to be open for 2.5 hours, and sometimes they'd open in the evening, but not always. So when the pub was shut, everyone would go to the local horse riding stables and all go riding. I mean, everybody. That was the highlight of me and Nikki's world. Like, we were just, horses were everything to us. And that gelled us, that was our connection, that was our deep-rooted connection. And that just grew and that stayed.
I had Mum. Mum was about 32 years ago, because then I moved into New Road. Ironically, I got away from there because I was a bit worried about, it wasn't a very nice area. But I lived in here for 13 years.
Yeah, essentially her road's literally over there.
Now this is all different, you see now. This is...
Oh, this is the road?
Yeah, this is the road. And number 46, so I'll show you which one it is. Oh, it's up for sale. No, it's sold.
No way.
Is that 46?
Yeah, 46.
It's got the same door it had on.
Right, let's park. Should we park off? I can't believe the only one that's down here that's sold is that one.
I know.
What are the chances? Same front door?
Yeah, same front door.
Come on, have a look.
Not supposed to do that. Yeah, same front door. Can you believe it hasn't been changed? That was Lee's room. That was Mum's and Teresa's room when she was here.
This is where it all began.
Yep.
Mum first started taking drugs.
Yes, it would have started here, yeah. Now you're going to try and go down that little road there, and that will bring you out to the flat.
Me and Fiona were living in the flat, and Sarah came to live with us. And Nikki used to party with Sarah, so Nikki used to come round.
And she would come over and we used to go to clubs and that together. Before she lived with us, she'd started coming to clubs and stuff like that.
I was friends with Sarah and I shared flat with Sarah, so I was aware of Nikki, and I was also friends with her Aunt Teresa. She must have been quite young, I think about 18. And she started coming to clubs and warehouse parties. She was a bit younger than me, so I sort of felt like I took her under my wing. She was shy. She borrowed my clothes.
Nikki was always very sociable, always really, you know, would go out and very sociable. Everyone wanted to know Nikki in lots and lots of ways.
When we used to go out and about, hanging about, and like we used to go over the park and things like that, everyone seemed to warm to her, and she had loads of friends and everyone wanted to be her friend. She was quite a nice, warming person. We used to go to the fair at the end of the road and she was being with everyone. Everyone knew her and everyone liked her and loved her.
People were very, very, very drawn to Nikki, very drawn to Nikki, and I believe that gave her a big responsibility. I'm going to say somebody like Nikki who's actually deeply shy.
And when I was pregnant, it was all too much for me in that flat. It was a party flat, I had to get out. So I went and rented a flat in Holbrook and I moved into there, and Nikki moved in and took my place in the flat.
Down whereabouts?
Right down the end. I can't believe I'm letting you film me when I've not washed my hair.
So this is Teresa's flat.
Teresa, when she left home with me, she went into a flat. That's the flat up there they used to live in.
Which one, the first or second?
There's all one, I think, and upstairs.
When Mum was seeing Guy, who started drugs with her, Nan wouldn't let her stay at that York Road with Nan, so Mum had to live here with Teresa.
Should we elaborate on who Guy is?
Okay, yeah, okay. So Guy was Nikki's boyfriend who she absolutely adored. She adored Guy. They were a knit couple. They matched each other beautifully, and it was a real love affair. It was a love affair.
My thoughts of Guy, I was in the Astoria nightclub in London on Charing Cross, and that's the first time I met him. I was at the back, I was in there with my friends. They'd come into the club, the two of them. They was there for half an hour and then that was it, they was gone.
That year that Nikki moved into the flat with us, in the June of that year, we got a really cheap holiday to Ibiza. We went out that first day and we went round the corner and we bumped into all these people that lived locally to us. We were drinking, I suppose, back then, but nothing really serious had started. One thing I did remember though, she could drink. If she wanted to, she could drink, and it was like she was able to drink and it seemed to not have any effect on her either. And she'd be like, well, I can't really feel anything, you know. Then when we went to Ibiza, we then met with all the South London lot and Nikki met Guy. But unfortunately, he already had a problem with drugs.
One of the times we were in Ibiza, Guy had got arrested and had been put into prison. We were all like, this is so shocking, you know, what's he done? And I can remember hearing one of the guys that we'd made friends with saying something about skaghead. And, you know, we were really shocked. We had no idea that Guy was involved in heroin. And I'm not even sure that Nikki was aware of it at the time.
And Nikki had this idea in her mind that she could save him, that she could help him change. And I'm going to say for that first year or so of their relationship, it was all about Nikki turning Guy round. I can change him. And it's a classic thing, you know, it's an absolute classic thing. I can change him, I can help him. But I think when you're in that environment for long enough, it's like if you go to the hairdressers regularly, you're going to get a haircut at some point. And then I think it got harder and harder and harder for Nikki to stay in the environment without participating. And I'm going to say once you start, it's very, very difficult. But it started off with crack.
Well, crack cocaine is cocaine, but what it is they call it free base. So then when you actually get cocaine in its purest form, by the time it gets to maybe the street, what the drug dealers do is it's been cut up with other drugs to give it more weight. And then what that does is it gets more money on the market. In theory, a gram of cocaine on the street would be a gram. In a gram, you've got 10 points, so 7 of them points will be cut with rubbish. It'd be 30% cocaine. So what it is, to turn it back to its purest form, what the drug dealers have learnt to do is put ammonia or bicarbonated soda in with the cocaine. Then that draws out all the rubbish and you're left with pure cocaine. That's what the crack is. And the reason they call it crack cocaine is because it's mainly smoke. And they put it on a pipe and it crackles, and that's why they call it crack. It's an American phrase, and that's how most people smoke it. So crack cocaine is just cocaine, it's cooked up to its purest form.
Remember the time when you first found out she started taking drugs and your stance on it?
I knew she was, but all the time when she was out partying on that scene, I know she was taking ecstasy and things like that.
Nikki embraced ecstasy. It really changed her. She became super confident.
It was that time of 1988, 89 when it was all going on. And all that circle, everyone was doing drugs anyway, so no one thought there was anything wrong in it at all.
Everything had just kicked off, you know. Everybody I knew was doing drugs at the time, recreational drugs more than heavy drugs. The E-scene had just kicked off. Julie, she wasn't really aware of all this scene that was going on at the time. So when Nikki started to cross over to the other drugs, I don't suppose I knew straight away. I knew that there was a bit of dabbling going on because of the company she was keeping. I knew that they were selling hard drugs.
It's all done in secret. It's all done in secret, and it's all done a little bit like, right, won't do that again. You got that little conversation with yourself, right, oh, definitely won't do that again.
I'd never really told Julie about it, which was, I suppose, the wrong thing to do, really. Because after we had a pact later when we all knew about it that we would never lie about drugs from any of our family ever again, because we always thought the truth was the best policy.
People take drugs to change the way they feel, and it's to feel good. People don't take drugs to feel bad, do they? But eventually, obviously, you know, certain people become dependent, and then that drug obviously doesn't work like it used to for others, you know. Not everyone who takes drugs becomes a drug addict, but there are some.
We'd be going to a club or something like that. Nikki became further and further away. What would happen to people who got into crack, really, was that we'd all go clubbing, and then people who were into crack would go to the club, because you couldn't buy it on the street like you can now. People would go to the club, and the ones that liked piping, or they'd be gone. And they'd go and have a party for two, or a party for one.
I was always out in clubs and all that, and then you'd see her out for like an hour early evening, and then she'd be gone. When you're doing them sort of drugs, you don't want to be out in clubs, they just want to be sitting around people's flats.
A couple of times a week over 2 or 3 months, and you've got yourself a nice, healthy heroin addiction. And once that hook goes in, it's like a fish hook. You can't just take it out, it has to be removed. And everything that gets done in secret eventually gets brought into the light, and that's what happened, really.
She went forward, then she went back in her seat, and that was it. She was out cold.
I had a phone call from Teresa and stating that Nikki had been rushed to hospital and it was bad.
And my heart just sinking.
Nikki was not moving.